Let's do this.
Science fiction, double feature, Dr. X will build a creature.
Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews. It's your hosts Iain.
Hello.
And Gary. And joining us today is Lauren.
Hi.
Okay, so today we're going to be reviewing the 1975 cult classic The Rocky Horror Picture Show, starring Tim Curry and Richard O'Brien. Okay, so Iain, can you give us a synopsis of The Rocky Horror?
Yeah, basically this is a film about two individuals, Brad and Janet, played by Barry Bostwick and Susan Sarandon, who've recently got engaged, and they go on a little journey to tell their favourite tutor. But on the way, they get a flat tyre and end up having to abandon the car and get lost. And they come across Dr. Frankenfurter's castle.
The darkness must go down the river of night's dreaming.
Now, I really love this film. The reason why I love it, one, it's a musical. And I'm really big into musicals. One of my favourites is West Side Story. And also, I love the film because of the performance by Tim Curry. He is just awesome in this movie. And I love the kind of the weirdness about it. It's a bit kinky, sexy, and they wear some amazing outfits and things in it. So, you know, it's just the whole kind of feel of the film I love really. What about you, Lauren?
Yeah, but when I first watched this film, I thought it was so strange. I mean, the opening credits is just this pair of lips on a black background singing.
Michael Rennie was ill the day the earth stood still, but he told us where we stand.
And it's just bizarre, and you sit there like, where's this going? But it just gets progressively weirder and weirder throughout the film. But I think the thing I like the most about it is the songs. They're really catchy and really quite funny as well. So they really get you hooked.
The river was deep, but I swam it. Janet. The future is ours, so let's plan it. Janet. So
And
please.
I think when you think of Rocky Horror, one of the first things you think about is the songs. And I think that's what makes it so popular as a musical.
Definitely. I mean, songs like The Time Warp have had like an iconic impact on the pop. I remember when I was younger, one of the first songs I danced to at a wedding was The Time Warp.
With your hands on your hips.
It's something that every kid knows, whether they're 5 or whether they're 55. Everyone knows The Time Warp, and this is what I love about this film, the fact that the songs are so catchy, like you said, and the fact that there's this fashion element to it, and there's this fun element to it, and at the same time there's this completely bizarre escapism to it. So if you're going to watch a film for a very serious plot line, then The Rocky Horror isn't the one to watch. It's not the film to watch for you, but if you want some pure escapist fantasy craziness, then this is exactly the film for you, I should imagine.
Enchanté. Well, nice.
And I think also talking to like other people and seeing other people's viewpoints on this film is that even if you if you're like dead against, oh, it's a musical, I'm not going to watch it because it's a musical and I'm not into that sort of thing. The people actually, when they do watch it, they think actually this is pretty good. You know, music aside, it's just there's so much fun comedy in it.
There's so much
so many
completely different.
Totally, yeah. And I think Jim Sharman did a really clever job with the cast. Who he kept most of the cast from the stage show. Actually, with this, only Brad and Janet's characters were the only ones that really changed. But also Tim Curry's performance in it it's very much like a stage show itself. The way it's filmed, it's not a big budget.
Definitely
okay,
not.
and you might some people might criticise it for that. But actually, the way that he films it and the way that Tim Curry does, I think they call it on in the theatre like asides.
Asides, yes.
Yeah, when
to the camera.
Yeah, when he's kind of he doesn't talk directly. It's his expressions and his looks, but and that kind of makes you feel involved in the film, that you're actually the audience and you're watching this.
Yeah.
I think that's actually very clever and very unique about films. You don't often get films like that.
And Tim Curry, from the outset when we meet him, he just has such an impact on you. We were saying earlier about his legs. That man has amazing legs, and a pair of fishnets. Every woman is jealous. But beginning of the film, we've gone into the mansion and we see Riff Raff and Magenta, two other very iconic characters that people obviously are still copying now at the midnight showings and stage shows. We see them, and then we go in and we're met with the time warp immediately. And then, of course, we have our introduction to Frankenfurter.
Yes.
And these asides that we keep seeing when he does the little eyebrow raise into the camera.
That's right.
A little bit of a nod to theatre there, and his expressions are just fantastic. I couldn't imagine anybody else playing this character at all.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
And then you spot like straight other characters like Christopher Biggins happens to be
Just dances through.
one of the characters, not a speaking part, he's one of the Transylvanians, but the groupies kind of thing, isn't it? But odd things like that. And then you've got Columbia as well, who is this amazing. She's got pink hair and
shrieky voice,
really shrieky voice. But and it's kind of that chemistry between the Riff Raff, Magenta, and Columbia is kind of very close knit as well, which is definitely different from their relationship with Frankenfurter.
It is, yeah, definitely. I mean, in real life, there was an interview with the characters. It's Richard O'Brien and Patricia, what's her last name?
Quinn.
Patricia Quinn, that plays Magenta. And they were saying how they weren't trying to play it as an incestuous relationship, but when you watch them, you definitely get that kind of feel that this is not a normal brother-sister relationship going on here. And then, of course, later on it all unravels and makes a little bit more sense. But there are some very, very key little relationships between the characters that make this extra interesting, I think, definitely. And then, of course, we move on and we've met Frankenfurter and we're introduced to some other characters such as Eddie and Rocky. So Rocky is this tall, muscular, blonde-haired, tanned creation of Frankenfurter, and he's meant to be a companion for Frankenfurter. As he says in the film, he's there to get rid of any tension he might have, raised eyebrows into the camera.
Oh, I just love success.
He's a credit to your genius, Master.
Yes.
A triumph of your will.
Yes.
He's okay.
Then, of course, we go on to meet Eddie.
Yeah, who's this? I don't know where he comes from. He just sort of breaks through halfway and sort of interrupts. Yeah, he just interrupts this whole amazing unveiling of this creation, and he just rides in his motorbike. Obviously, it's Meatloaf, and it starts singing. What's the song?
Hot Patootie.
And I think Columbia, she's really enjoying it and stuff, and Frank's just like,
not impressed.
you come in and exactly. And that's when you see this streak in him which you just kind of weren't prepared for, and he just picks up this pickaxe and sort of starts hacking at him, chasing him back into the freezer. You don't expect it because up until then it's just been this glamorous, quite sort of almost inviting,
very charismatic character,
and it's just like, okay, what's going on?
Yeah, we start off feeling quite into Frankenfurter. He invites you in, he's very charismatic, but there are several points in this film where you see a turning point in his behaviour and his attitude. I think that's the first major one there, when you actually realise, I am watching a sci-fi horror film. I've just seen a man being pickaxed to death. That's the first sign of any trouble, really.
And that's the only blood, I think, shot in the film as well. Because a lot of people say about this film's shown a lot at Halloween time. Because it is meant to be kind of this horror. And Richard O'Brien was very big into Hammer House of Horror films and sci-fi and 50s music, which he's combined kind of in this film. But that's the only element really of kind of horror, isn't it, in the film, that and the meal scene, which won't go into give too much away. But you definitely go on a journey with Frankenfurter's character of, like you say, of really liking him, being very kind of he's really cool and everything, but very fun and stuff like this. And then you actually see he's mad. isn't it?
Completely insane and controlling.
Yeah, that's right, and just does not want anybody else taking the limelight away from him. And as the story unravels, you kind of, because you don't, until about halfway through the film, you don't really understand. In fact, many people get the whole way through the film and don't understand what's going on. But the story kind of unravels, and you start getting a gist of what actually the story is about.
Yeah.
Which I'm not going to kind of spoil for you, but
we start to see a more manipulative side to Frankenfurter as well, with there's several scenes where he's pretending to be somebody that he's not, and I think that probably takes us on to maybe some of our favourite scenes. I think.
Yes. Why don't Lauren start off with your favourite scene?
Yeah, my favourite scene is the bedroom scene where Brad and Janet have been separated. They've been put into different rooms for the night, and at one point in the night, it's Brad that comes into Janet's room. Now they've got foils over this four-poster bed, so you can't see anything. The light's behind them, and all you can see is the silhouettes. So Brad comes in and speaks to Janet, and they start kissing, and then Janet pulls off a wig from Brad's hair, and it's actually Frank.
I'm afraid so, Janet. But isn't it nice?
Oh, you beast! You monster! Oh, what have you done with Brad?
Well, nothing. Why do you think I should?
And it's just bizarre and quite funny.
Yeah.
And then he sort of like persuades her, to give in to her temptations and whatever.
Yeah.
And then it goes to the next bit where Janet walks in, and you think, oh, maybe she's feeling a bit guilty and, going to Brad for a bit of like comfort or whatever. So they start kissing, and then Brad pulls off Janet's wig, and it's actually Frank again.
I'm afraid so, Brad. But isn't it nice? Why, you?
What have you done with Janet?
Nothing. Why do you think I should?
What's quite funny about this is because it sounds like Brad and Janet when he's impersonating them. So it's like you can.
It's really cleverly done, isn't it?
God,
Yeah, you think maybe he could get away with it if it was Brad,
Yeah.
making a men's voice, whatever. But when it's a girl's voice, you just didn't expect it, and it's just absolutely hilarious.
I won't tell her.
Well, you promise you won't tell.
On my mother's grave.
Yeah, very funny.
Brilliant scene. Iain, your favourite scene?
My favourite scene's quite early on in the film, and it's when you're first introduced to Frankenfurter, and it's just the whole mood of this scene. So basically, you start off with this music, this kind of thump, 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 and you see a lift slowly coming down. You see this pair of heels tapping with these amazing shoes, and then this figure with a cloak on. And then obviously you get to see Frankenfurter's face, and he starts singing Sweet Transvestite, which I love that song.
How'd you do, I see you've met my faithful hand in hand.
And Tim Curry just plays it so well. He is the hottest transvestite I've ever seen, I tell you. The moves, his kind of, again, his facial expressions and everything like that. And his voice, his voice is amazing.
I'm just a sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania.
That's the one thing, in this film, that his voice is just kind of so strong. And indeed, he did, Tim Curry did go on to do a lot of other voice work, in animated productions, TV and stuff like that. But, and I think actually he gets chosen a lot because of his voice.
It's very distinctive.
Because I know that we haven't talked much about the fact that Tim Curry, this film launched his career, and he did go on to do things like It, where he was the clown.
Kiss me, fat
And he did, he was in Legend, played the Doctor. Both characters where he's in full makeup, you wouldn't recognise.
I didn't know that until you mentioned it.
It's him.
Was it not your sin trapped the unicorn? Even now, the evil seed of what you have done germinates within you.
And also he played Long John Silver, and some really diverse characters actually that he's played, and it's always his voice that's very distinctive. So I just love that scene, that particular song, and the introduction to Frankenfurter.
It's a brilliant scene. I think my favourite scene comes just before that, when we've got Brad and Janet have just walked in to be greeted by this riffraff and Magenta who are very creepy looking, and then you go in, and all of a sudden you're in the middle of a dance scene. It's a time warp, and the time warp scene is my favourite. And just because it's so bizarre and so unexpected, you hear the music, you think, oh, it's going to be a party going on or something. But the costuming, these weird people, you've got a midget just walks across the screen at one point, you've got tall, short, fat, thin characters dressed in the most bizarre goggles and tuxes. Then, of course, Christopher Biggins just dances across the screen like he's always been there. And you think, what on earth is going on? And I think it's that complete escapism that really drew me to this film in the first place. I think that scene encapsulates that really, really well. Then, of course, you get Frankenfurter coming in and dominating the whole scene, which is fantastic. I think there's so many scenes we could pick to be our favourite in this film.
Yeah.
To pick 3 is very, very difficult. I think, not without giving anything away, but I think the ending of this film, the last scene...
I was going to say, that was another favourite of yours, wasn't it?
Absolutely. The ending, the last scene, there are 4 characters on stage, each singing a little bit about their own personal story. And then we have Frankenfurter coming in, and then the ending is revealed. What
happens, and it's quite kind of... It's a bit of a surprise at the end, really. But
absolutely.
Yeah. So, would you recommend this film?
Yes, I would. I think it's strange, so you have to give it a little minute. But I mean, a lot of my friends don't like musicals, but I think if you give it a chance, because it is so different to most other musicals, I don't think there's anything else quite like it, is there?
No,
so give it a chance, you'll probably be quite surprised.
Absolutely. Iain?
I would definitely recommend this film. As said, Tim Curry in it. If you don't like musicals or anything else, for any other reason, watch it for his performance, because it is amazing. And if you get a chance to go and see the stage show as well, me and Lauren actually got to see that in 2006. And that's another really good experience. So definitely give the film a shot, give it a go, even if, like Lauren said, you don't like musicals or anything like that. It is so funny, it really is.
Absolutely, and I would most definitely recommend this film. I think it's one of those once in a lifetime productions that you have to see at some point in your life to appreciate the full craziness and the full hysteria that came after this film. I mean, at the time, the topics they're approaching were extremely taboo. The things about homosexuality and men-on-men relationship. This piece of film is not only a piece of artistry, but it's also a bit of a social commentary as well. It's the songs, it's the visuals, it's everything. Even if you hate it, you can still appreciate it for the piece of cult artwork that it is.
I'm going home.
Thank you for watching Off the Shelf Reviews. We'll see you next time.
Let's do the time warp again. It's just a jump to the left. And then a step to the right. With your hands on your hips. You bring your knees in tight. Where is the velvet glove? It really does.
The fuck was that?